Lights, camera, action. Hello and welcome to the Aya Aum podcast. This podcast is a follow-up on my 7-step coaching program. I'm going to talk about this big piece of paper I have with my whole life and how I balance it. So I got in this habit and it's been working out really well for me, so I wanted to share it. So one, I take big pieces of paper and I love to write so I can see everything at once. And I have many points in my life that are really important to me. Too many that if I don't keep track of them, I can't quantify how I'm doing. And I lose track of the many things that I want to accomplish. So I got in the habit of writing down the important things in my life so I could check in on them. This eventually became integrated into my coaching program in how I work with the material here. So this is a alignment system and there's embodiment practices that go with it. So without further ado, I'll share some of the basic structuring. I have the 7 chakras and the domains of knowledge and information associated with each of the chakras. I have some of the most important practices and things that I want to follow in my life. I have a number of different archetypes. I have some labels of systems that I work with, such as Zodiac or the Human Design System, and what my term is for what I am associated with. I have the 5 primary yin emotions and the corresponding virtues that go with them from the Qigong system. I have these 6 foundational principles of holistic health. I have the balance of yin and yang, and I have the 5 primary, you can call them values that I live by. So this is like, you've seen those balance wheels maybe like coaches that have this like financial and social, and it's like a balance wheel, right? And these are very useful. This is my form of a little bit more complex, you could say, balance wheel. And let's start with the chakras. So I do follow the 8 limbs of yoga. So this is a system that is written by the sage Patanjali, and he wrote the Yoga Sutras. And he gives us structuring of the 8 limbs of yoga. So the first and the second limb have to do with yamas and niyamas, which are kind of like internal and external codes of conduct. And the 5 values or virtues that I talked about in the last part, that's from there. The same values that are in that yogic system are my same values. So I've been working these for a number of years, and I've been following the system to the best of my knowing of the system. The next branch is asana, which is the physical movement practice of yoga that we're most familiar with. The next branch, slow down and listen. Thank you. So the next breath work, the next practice is pranayama. So pranayama is breath work, and that's been my specialty for a number of years. So I'm very dedicated to this branch of yoga. The next branch is to do with your sense withdrawal. The next branch has to do with your concentration, and then your capacity to achieve meditation. And then the last branch is samadhi, which is a higher state of absorption through meditation, extremely blissful states of realization and awakening. And it is concerned with the stabilization of these states, so they're not just momentary experiences, but lasting impressions in the energy and body or the nervous system. And the 7 chakras is related to the yogic path in that they are a framework of the mind, of your mind, of the mind that we share. And there's different dimensions of energy, and it's a very complex system. So I'm just going to touch into it just a little bit, so you can get an impression if you don't already know about it, just for context. So this system is based on the vibrations of the vibratory energy body in our, just like our nervous system is structured this energy body has a structure, an anatomy, pardon me. So this is like the energetic anatomy that underpins the physical representation of our body that we experience in this physical dimension. But there's a more subtle reality, which is energetic, electromagnetic. So based on the vibratory rate, we get a number of different dimensions that scale from lower vibrations being in the lower body to higher vibrations being in the higher body. And all emotional states have a corresponding vibration, so how we feel changes our vibration, and whether we're more engaged in the physical dimension or in the energetic dimension, which has more to do with the mind, ideas, states of consciousness, love and bliss. And they truly are married, but there's a relationship between above and below, dimensions of reality. On a more practical level, think of them as a framework for organizing your life energies. The total sum of the energies of your being. This is what you're bringing into being at each moment. So when you look at these, there's psycho, emotional, physical. So mind, emotion, body, everything's stored at these centers. The lowest center is associated with a number of concepts. And these are, once again, they're part of the dimensional matrix that pulls things together in this reality. And learning to master these domains of reality will help you to bring forward your potential. So the first center is associated with the earth and your connection to it. The center is located at the base of the spine, in front of the tailbone, in the perineum, that little muscular and fibrous branch between your anus and your sex organ. And this center energetically points downwards. And it's our energetic connection to the earth. And if you want to translate this into the nervous system, the scientific material approach to what we can weigh and measure, then you can think of the nerves and the nerve channels that run down to your legs. Some people have a more developed nervous system that goes into the feet and legs. This is part of energetic development. This comes with more capacity to do and move and sense and feel. This is an evolution of the consciousness and the actual organism. So the physical practice of yoga is something that helps to build the nervous system strong, flexible, and mobile. But it's also not just the physical, it's the energetic principle of your relationship to the earth. And this is part of the conscious process, as discussed in the Yogic Sutras, of becoming more conscious, is becoming conscious of all of your relationships, including your very real connection to the living presence of the earth below. One life is the ultimate teaching of yoga. Everything is one. So if we have an imbalance with any of these psycho-emotional concepts, then we'll have a type of, an imbalance, something out of alignment. That center won't be as activated, as powerful, as regulated. When these centers grow out of balance, either into excess or deficiency, things happen first on that energetic level, and then they begin to affect the physical tissues and body. If an area like this one is stressed, it puts the body in stress. So energetically, we're tilting our body out of harmony and into dis-ease, rather than ease, relaxation, and health. So this has to do with our earth. So why do I, as I get into the system, why do I track all these things? Is because I'm both awakening my consciousness to be aware of the greater reality that has been shared to us by teachings of old. And these are ancient ways, which are always applicable in the now, that can help us to awaken our consciousness to more of what we are. This is the process of self-realization. This is why my coaching is holistic coaching. It means I want to find harmony and growth in your mind, your body, your emotions, and your spirit. So I am going to move quicker as I go in this, otherwise we'll be here for a long time. So we also have relationship with your tribe, finances, and your safety. These are what this center processes in terms of information. So what do I do with this information? I assess where I'm at. Am I balanced, regulated, overactive, underactive? This isn't just a psychological process because I'm integrating mind, body, everything in one. So in order to get this information, I feel my body. When my safety, when my finances, when things are off, the lower part of my body begins to go off. It's become weaker, less stability. If I do balancing practices, I notice it, less grounded. I feel like a blocked energy in the hips. And then this affects my digestion. And it affects my capacity to want to move forward in life because I don't feel supported. So what happens is I get a number of imbalances in the legs and I literally become less mobile. I move less. This is a metaphoric representation of I don't feel safe, so I'm not going to move forward. It's a freeze response happening in the body. And if you're aware of the body, it's telling you about this center. So there's 7 centers, 6 of them are in the body. And they're associated with a number of different zones. You can think of these zones as the legs, the pelvic region, the abdominal region, the heart region, the throat region, the face region, and then you could talk about the crown, otherwise above the head. So if there's an imbalance in any of these chakras, we can look at the mental or association, the association between the mental, the emotional body, because we hold emotions at different levels of the system. We hold stress at different levels of the system. And we can look at the physical body. Is there an organ that is imbalanced? Is there a disease state? And where is that happening in the body? And it's associated with the nervous system because these chakras are at a level of energy that is not the same as where the nervous system is, because the nervous system and the energy body aren't the same thing. There's many ways we can describe them together and they make a great metaphor for the mind to understand as we bridge from science into spirituality, but they're not the same thing. They run on many parallel lines, so there is some structures that run in the same line or pathway, but there's many energetic pathways that don't run the same as the nervous system does. So it's important to know that they are different. But I completely lost my tangent there. But I was hoping it would come back if I said that again, but it didn't. So the energy body and the nervous system, not one. That'll just be the end of that one. We'll just go back to the list. So I can self-assess myself if anything's going wrong based on the part of my body and checking in with this list. And then I have a number of practices that are associated with each of these points. So, hey, I noticed that I haven't spent a lot of time outside. I have a disconnection to earth. So how can I spend time outside? That was easy. Connect with the earth, be barefoot on the earth, sing on the earth. For me, I go up to the river or go for a hike in the mountains. Tribe. Like, historically, I've always been someone who loves their alone time. So if I don't track and make conscious decisions to put myself out in a place or call up a friend or do these things that expand me socially, I won't do them naturally. This is kind of how my energy's been for a very long time. So it takes a conscious process of me checking in. Okay, tribe. Who's your tribe? Okay, reach out. Who do you need to reach out to? I ask my higher mind that, and I receive if there's anything to receive. Finances. How are the finances? What practices can I have? Even if there's something going on, a circumstance, anything that's challenging, how's my attitude? What's my story about all this? Getting into the beliefs, because the beliefs are structured into the energy, which is structured into the body. And I have affirmations. I'm abundant. I'm abundant. So I'm shifting my mind to shift the energy, to shift the whole physical system. So that's root chakra 1. And then have also all 7 of these. I will go over them briefly, but I just want to talk a little bit about how this helps align the life. As I mentioned, it aligns your life force energy. And what that means in the yogic understanding is that the ultimate energy of source is all around us. We breathe it in. Sunlight. We're really just basking in an infinite ocean, energetically. And there's a way to bring this energy through the system because we're tuned into it. We're literally soaking up the energy through the nervous system, right? So there's a way to structure the mind so that it's in harmony with Dharma, with the universal principle or the energetic structuring. And in this way, we can flow with creation, with the source, with evolution as it's happening for all creation, and not be separate from that. So structuring our mind and taking care of these, the alignment of these, helps to structure the whole consciousness. It's important to do the full list because there are organizing principles at the highest points that organize behavior. I'll say about that for now. So the second chakra is the pelvic region, the sacral chakra related to the sacrum, which has its name because there was a time when we burned people at the stake for being witches, which is, you could just say, a female shaman back in the day. So someone with a connection to indigenous or tribal medicine, or I guess it could also be heavenly medicine as well, but altered states of healing, and were condemned for that, largely by the church or the people who were operating the church at that time. And when they burned the bodies, they noticed that the sacrum didn't burn a long time. It was very rigid to the burn, so they call it the sacrum, which is related to sacred, the sacred bone, because it's the one that lasts even if you burned steak. Second chakra has to do with sexuality, creativity, and emotions, especially like one-on-one relationships. So once again, checking in sexually. Is my sexual practice conscious and empowering? Or are old desire programs which will also keep me in old cycles of when those were laid down? Because those stories are all integrated into those energies. So how do I raise the consciousness? How do I raise the vibration of my sexual practices so that they're in alignment with the highest path of self-realization? So sexuality is a big topic, and just as a side note, when I coach people, these are areas or domains that I want to focus on because of how important they are. So sexual practices and using your sexual organ in a conscious way, well, let me frame it the other way. If you don't use your sexual organ in a conscious way, it's called an energy leak, because you're literally leaking out your energy, and it won't build, or you won't get to the higher levels of your potential if you're leaking out all that sexual energy. So for males, there's a literal leak. If you're jizzing all the time, you're gonna spread your seed into what? The toilet? Where you go, you just let that go. That's your energy. You've created, cultivated that energy. Sperm takes a lot of energy to make. That's why you feel tired. You're jizzing all the time. So learning practices. Come on, man. Learn practices. Keep your seed, or choose when you want to release your seed. Don't be a victim to the desire cycles, because you'll cultivate more energy. You'll have more control, and the more conscious you use your organ, the better you get at using it, which is the more pleasure. It's the funniest thing. I remember when I was caught in the porn cycles and masturbating in that way, because at the time I thought that's the most pleasurable thing, and I was a real good masturbator. I have other stories about that from other videos, so if you know those references, I love you. So, learning to use